right, hello and welcome. I hope you are having a fantastic Monday, October the 28th. Uh, I think we're sometime almost to the end of December, if I was correct in my dating a couple weeks back, which I wasn't, but still. But
Well, yeah, it's the way it
how's
goes.
how's everyone been? How
Wibbly
you been,
wobbly.
Jeff? Timey
I'm pretty
wimey.
good. Yes, very timey-wimey. I've been good. How about yourself, Matthew?
Well, I'm doing fantastic now. I was out of town last week from Thursday to Thursday, uh, and it was an experience. Like it was a good trip. Let me start with that. Extremely thankful for the work. I went out with a guy named Rakesh. Great guy. Had a good time with him talking, and he was teaching me the code that he's been doing, and I was able to help him with a lot of spots where um, it had been holding him up. So he's a young guy from India, and very bright, very intelligent. Uh, but clearly, like it's interesting to be hitting this phase of life where I am. We can hear. Okay, Josh, you almost got me, Josh. I saw his no sound. I'm like, are you kidding me? No, he is kidding me. Um, I'm getting to the stage of my life where like I actually have a fair bit of experience and a fair bit of knowledge, and now there's these
This
young
very
guys
thing.
coming in. I know, right? So you got young guys coming in, and it's like, oh, I can teach you things. And so I've been teaching them like how this software is used and uh, just some general tips and tricks for making it happen. And it was a real good time, and just it was interesting.
So you blew us off just for that.
I did, I did.
Ticks and trips, says
Yes,
homie.
that is what I said. Now I'm not sure if I froze, if my computer froze, or if my brain froze. As it realized what I had said for a second, and it kind of had to reboot. It happens.
Usually you do freeze for a couple seconds after we go live.
That's weird.
That is weird, but it happens.
Now, okay, I am glad, by the way, that it looks like all my audio stuff is still set up correctly. I specifically started OBS yesterday, I think. I'm like, hey, if there's any updates, I want the updates to happen now and not be causing problems for streams or anything like that. Nothing. I open it just now and it tries to get me to update. I did not choose to update this time, everyone. uh,
Well, I pulled a Matthew about an hour ago.
yeah.
I updated some drivers and the motherboard BIOS.
Ooh, playing risky.
Yes, but I'm here.
Yeah, do the update now. I don't think so on me. And how you doing, Texas? Glad to see you're here. But yeah, so last week there's no Babylon 5 because I was out of town. The week before that, I was in town, but I was getting ready to leave, and I really was trying to figure out this code and understand it. Uh, and so it just didn't happen. So they are there's several more plants that I need to do this at, but they're pushing it back just a little bit. Like the code is working fairly well. They're fairly happy with that. They just really want to dial it in and make sure it's all working before they like take down their whole system on all their plants to do this code swap over. So hopefully I'll be around for a little bit. And it's weird because we got Thanksgiving coming up, right?
We do.
So if they
Or
push
is
it
that New
back,
Year's?
yeah, I mean, when you push, yeah, or is it New Year's? It depends on how right I was about the date. Like, if we push it back, then we start to hit Thanksgiving, and it's just, it's up in the air. What's gonna happen? So, uh, thankfully, you guys saw the update. Hopefully, I won't ever have to say yes, I can do it, and then at like 7 o'clock at night, be like, guys, I'm sorry, there's no way I can do this. But I was massively overwhelmed, and I just had to step back and be realistic about my time abilities or
Work comes
availabilities.
first.
It does. It does. And, this is something I was actually talking to my pastor about recently. Um, we had a men's event where we go out to this shooting range, have a bonfire, axe throwing. I say shooting range, it's like an archery shooting range. Um, we met there during COVID, and it was a place where hunters would come and bring their deer to be slaughtered and processed.
Oh, wow.
And so there'd be weeks where like there was a couple deer laying out on the receiving bay area as you walked into the building so we could have our church service, because it was one of the few places that would allow us to come in during COVID. And so we're
Hmm.
like, well, this is a great example of what the Israelites would have had to do with the sacrificial system. There's the animals, and you have to drain the blood. And, maybe not every parent was so ecstatic about a real life example as I was, but it was there.
Very
So,
interesting. Very
so
interesting.
we were meeting there, and I was telling him, we're doing our men's event there. And I'm like, hey, one of the things I struggle with is being honest about my availability. Like if someone asks me to do something and I know I'm capable of doing it in general, I tend to say yes because I'm like, yes, I have that ability without really thinking about, do I have the bandwidth to take this on right now? And so I'm just learning, I'm just learning.
We are all learning.
We are. I was about to say I'm almost 40 years young, but actually I have one of my youth kids just had a birthday last week. And sometimes she comes and watches my she found out about this. Someone let the beans spill. So happy birthday! A little bit late if you're watching this right now. Uh, I'm glad you're here.
Awesome.
It was. And one last quick story before we get going here, guys, as people trickle in. Um, so I'm out. I knew I was going to be out of this place for 7 days, and I'm trying to figure out how to be gluten free now because apparently I need to be. And I was concerned going into the middle of nowhere, Georgia, about how I would be able to reliably go and get food. Like there's not many restaurants around here really that consistently offer safe gluten free food. Uh, and oh my goodness, no! Oh no! There's many of them. There's many of them. They've all found it. How you guys doing? Mediocre Matt. Glad to see you all here. That is a joke with my small group. Um, I gave a lesson once, and we joked. Yeah, it wasn't a great sermon, but it was a nice mediocre one. So mediocre Matt is who I am now. Uh, but so I ended up renting a VRBO instead of a hotel. The price was the same ish. It was about 20 extra bucks a night. But I was able to buy all my food from the store and like cook and prepare it myself. So I was set. The first night I was there, I had the worst night terrors I've had
Oh
in
no.
14 years, bar none. So the place is it's a house. I had the house to myself. It's like three small rooms, a kitchen, and a living room. And uh, the master bedroom has no strike plate, so it will not, like, you can shut the door, but you just like one finger opens it because there's no
Oh,
latch.
okay.
So I'm in a place
That's
I've yeah, place I've never been in before, and I have a hard enough time sleeping at night anyway, and so I'm there, I'm almost asleep. I'm not really super thrilled about the neighborhood I'm in anyway, uh, and I am convinced all of a sudden there is a man just outside the door wearing bright orange, a bright orange suit, and like not just a shirt.
I'm
He
glad
was
I'm not
wearing.
wearing orange.
he was wearing like a three-piece orange suit, like the suit coat, vest, orange slacks. Like I don't know why my brain went for this, but there's a man in orange, and I'm shouting, "Who are you? Who are you?" And of course, no one answers because there's no one there. And so it was this weird thing. I don't know if he did not have a top hat and cane. He wasn't that dressed up on me, but I don't know if you've ever been in that state of sleep where you're too exhausted to get up, but you can't go back to sleep. And so you're like in this sleep paralysis state, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I spend the next 2 to 3 hours in this state where
Oh
I
my
was in this
goodness.
cold sweat. My heart would not stop racing. Like I could not calm myself down. I I
That's
finally
horrible.
I finally woke up enough where I'm like, okay, Matt, like we need to do a reset. You need to realize Apster's getting an orange suit. Thank you for that. I'm like, you need to step back. You need to wake up enough to realize that it was just a night terror. So I set up, I read some of my Bible. I was able to like be in this fitful sleep. I turned the lights back out, and finally, like 2 in the morning, I think it was, I finally fell asleep, and then got up again at like 5:30 because we had to be at a site that was half an hour away, and this was the closest place we could get. So thankfully, the second night, I am about to pull one of the twin bed mattresses because one of the rooms had twin beds, and I'm about to pull it into the bathroom because the bathroom door locks. And I
Okay.
suddenly realize I am a complete idiot. There is a third bedroom that has a queen bed. The door just locks in it. Like I can just sleep in I can just sleep in a regular bed. And so I did, and the door locked, and I slept, and everything was fine. But I mean, that first night it was intense, and so it was one of those things where we do these 12-hour days because we don't want to be out there very long, uh, and it pays off to do that long work. And so you get back, you leave when it's dark, you get back when it's dark, just enough time to eat and shower and go to bed, sort of thing. And so my brain really wasn't working, but I'm glad it turned on just long enough to be like, you're a complete idiot. You know that, Matt? Like, just go sleep in the other room.
Well, I'm glad you figured that out.
Me too. Me too.
Or Matthew.
And so apparently I get back, and yeah, apparently I get back. I'm here, I guess. No, I get back, and that first night, I lie down in bed, and I didn't wake up all night long. But Amy tells me apparently I was quite concerned with who was in the bed with me. So apparently I asked her like, who are you? And then went, oh, never mind, and patted her and went and just went back to sleep. And so she was up for a little bit that first night, but I slept like a baby.
Wow.
In fact, I literally slept like a baby. I kept Mama up while I slept through the night.
Or Amy.
Yeah, poor Amy
What
indeed.
what you put her through? I don't know. I don't know how she puts up with you.
Oh, I don't either. But thankfully, I make her laugh just enough for her to stick around.
Humor is important.
It is. So hey, how about this episode? Super excited for it.
Are you?
I am. One,
Why is
because
that?
it's been 2 weeks since we've been able to do this. But two, I always put in the guest stars ahead of time, and I happen to notice a certain guest star is appearing this week. That's one of my all-time favorites,
Oh, okay.
Walter Koenig.
Oh, yeah, that's right. He is in this.
He is in this
It's
one.
just a bit part.
Even still, I was excited to see his name come up. And Texas is saying
I've
like
been waiting for this one.
he once woke up in his college apartment in the middle of the night to a sense of pure malice emanating from the other side of the room. Nothing happened. Still not sure if it was real. Yeah. So
Hmm.
I once did that as well, but I was the pure malice. My poor roommate. He was sitting trying to do his homework in the middle of the night, and apparently I s- I was in a top bunk. I launched myself out of the bunk, giving a warrior cry that a Klingon would be proud of, and my roommate was like, "I thought for sure you were going to kill me, Matt. I was prepared and ready for it." After that cry, that war cry, and he's like, "What is it? What is it?" And I looked at him, and he claims that my response was, "I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure there aren't spiders all over the ceiling." And then I went right back to bed. He didn't room with
Now
me
I
after
gotta look
that
at my
year for some
ceiling.
reason.
I gotta look at my ceiling now. I don't see spiders, thank goodness.
And yeah, shy average Matthew things, nothing big.
Joel says that by law, you should be doing 2 episodes today. It's in the Geneva Convention, after all.
Joel, I thought about it. I honestly did think about it, but uh, I am still partly on the Eastern time now, and
Ah,
I'm kind of trying to
yes.
stick to it.
So you think it's like 10:15?
And I think it's 10:45.
Oh, okay. Well, you said partially, so it's going
Oh,
halfway.
fair. Yeah, so I'm trying to stick to it because one of the things I've really noticed is, at nighttime, I don't really do productive stuff. I just kind of sit around and, unwind at the end of the day. But if I just go to bed instead and wake up a little bit earlier, like an hour earlier, man, my days have been so much more productive since I've gotten
Hmm.
back. It's nuts. And so I'm kind of sticking to it, but it does mean um I am a bit on the tired side. I'm I'm
No, I
kind of
get it.
pumped up right now because I'm really excited to be doing the stream.
Well, do
But
you
it
remember what your prediction was?
hmm. Okay, so this was about running with scissors. No, running a race
Race through
through darkness.
dark places.
A race through dark places. And I think I was all over the place as I recall, as usual. But I think my
Well, you did
final
settle on
prediction
something.
has something to do with going through hyperspace.
It was, yes. So you said a ship goes into hyperspace and they have a bomb on board. A program is activated to take down the communication system. The bomb is set to detonate when they reach their destination jump gate. Babylon 5 learns of the bomb and sends Star Furies to intercept the ship, taking possible shortcuts racing through hyperspace to intercept the ship before it jumps to normal space.
Sounds like a pretty solid guess to me.
Sounds exciting.
It does. It also, I'll be honest, sounds like I'm going to be wrong, but
Who
I'm in,
knows?
I'm interested to see. So how about we find out, everyone? Let me go ahead and pull this up, and as always, let me give my quick. I'll try and make it super quick, 30-second spiel. Uh, if you're here for the first time, hello and welcome. So glad you're with us. The way we do it here is you can go to the screening room, which I have not provided a link for. There you are. You can go to the screening room on the link I just pinned in the chat, and that will let you sync up your watch time with my watch time. Everyone, we get to watch this together, all of our times synced up. If you're here in the future, sorry that's not available. This is not a way for you to watch Babylon 5 for free. You got to have your own copy. And you can either do that by buying a copy on Amazon. They do digital copies. Or, actually, I think it might be free with Amazon Prime.
Not
No,
sure
I
of
think
that.
they make you buy the digital copy. It used to be. Go ahead. Y'all can check for me, people in the future. But you can watch it for free with ads on Tubi TV, which pretty nice deal. Or best option in my personal opinion, buy the physical media. You can never go
Indeed.
wrong with the physical media, which I haven't checked recently. With Thanksgiving coming up, it's probably going to be on a good sale in just a week or two here, or 3 or 4. I guess Thanksgiving's a little ways off. It's going to be in about a month. 2 weeks Matthew
About
time.
11, about 11 months, maybe.
Yeah, 11 months. It all depends on what time zone we're in right now. But soon it's going to be Thanksgiving. Check it then if you want to get the digital copy or a physical copy of the Blu-ray. Usually you can find them for, I think they're down like $70, wasn't it?
They're
When it's on
around, yeah,
sale.
about 74 or 73. That's about what we've seen them.
And that's a fair price for the full season. Uh, at least in my opinion. It might even be on more
Oh,
sale than that for Thanksgiving. So I would stick around with Tubi TV and then check it out on Thanksgiving, guys. I think you'll be pretty well off. And of course, you always have the other digital options. You can get it on iTunes. You can get it on the Google Play Store. You can buy it off YouTube, which is pretty much the same thing as Google Play Store or Google
Well,
Movies, whatever they call themselves.
I just checked it. It's $73.50 on Amazon right now.
That is a pretty fair price.
That is pretty fair.
If you don't like those options, you're just here for Jeff and me. Thank you. Very humbled. But we got
Appreciate
you
that.
covered. There are clips right here. So every 7-ish seconds is what I found doesn't anger the copyright holders, which I have had so few problems with this that I honestly don't know who owns the copyright for this right now. But
It's Warner
that's
Brothers.
Warner Brothers.
Yeah.
7 to 9 seconds is what I shoot for. Just a still image, no audio for this, no video. Updates every 9-ish seconds, and we're playing nice here. We're reviewing it, we're seeing live reactions to it, and we're encouraging you to go buy the physical stuff. And apparently Warner Brother likes that, and I appreciate that they like that. Yeah, and as always, guys, go on.
Just want to shout out to Anna and Danny. Danny was back in the hospital, unfortunately, for a little over a week, and but he's back home. I had some
Awesome.
abscesses, and they got that cleared up, and they're hoping that everything will be fine now. So thank you for your prayers and thoughts. We appreciate that very much.
I'm so glad he's back. Do we think it'll stick this time?
We're hopeful. We're
Awesome.
praying for that. He went back to school today, so.
Oh, good.
Welcome, John. And you may want to shout out a hello to Gorilla. I don't know if you saw his message.
I see. Hey, Gorilla, how you doing? Yeah, you rank in the usual Matthew's really bad at reading comments, but he tries category. So with all that said, my super quick that wasn't that quick because I'm easily distracted announcements. Let's go ahead and kick this off. I'll give you a quick 3 countdown. So if you are syncing your media in the future, you can hopefully hit the play button about the same instant I hit the play button. So countdown from 3. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Hit that play button, everyone. And as Josh said, please do let me know if you hear sound. I don't want it coming through because that is the line. They're like, hey, if you're going to play the entire episode audio, like, you're going to be in trouble. So apparently Babylon 5 has been running in a deficit, which they have kind of touched on a few times.
They have.
I remember it was back with Sinclair. They had the strike going on.
They did.
And what was the directive they had that was a dig at Rush Limbaugh? The
Rush Act.
The Rush Act. Sorry, it was too on the nose for me. I was like, no, it couldn't be that. It's not like they named the Rush Act or the Limbaugh Act.
Yes, or in Zento Omni.
But they did mention like, hey, we're out of money, we can't afford these upgrades, and Sinclair he played a tricky game, but he did get them what they asked for.
Yes, he did.
And so apparently they want not Sinclair. It's been a minute, but I can do this. Thank you, Sheridan.
Sheridan, yes.
They want Sheridan and Ivanova to start paying rent.
Yeah, so we're moved to smaller quarters.
Little Bester.
Mr. Bester.
I was trying to remember his name today, and I kept putting in Besker.
Close.
Really close for Matthew standards.
Yes. Cora's father, Cora's mother.
Yeah, just call him Al. Not that's a different character. That's the Quantum Leap guy. So this is the guy being interrogated is another psychic or another telepath.
Telepath. Yes. And
Another.
Bester's first name is Alfred.
Oh, he's trying to resist the the mind probe by quoting "Mary had a little lamb." It did not work.
Ooh,
Bester straight up killed him.
he did.
That is that is that was not a hand motion I personally would have used. Simpler times back then.
Now that other psychop, that's Judy Levitt. That's actually Walter Koenig's wife.
No.
Yes.
I wish I had been paying more attention to her.
She also played a doctor at Mercy Hospital in Star Trek 4. And she was a Starfleet Command Admiral in Star Trek 6.
And that
And
was
she was an Elarian survivor in Star Trek Generations.
wow. Okay, what was her name?
Judy Levitt.
I think she was uncredited.
Oh, she was credited.
I missed her. I must have not been paying enough attention during the guest stars. I have it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different people, and she was not one of them. One of which is a name I will never ever get close to pronouncing. A member of an Indian tribe of Wisconsin. Apswanhakwat?
Oh, yes. Good luck with that one.
Yeah, I mean, this isn't just the usual Matt's really bad at names. Like this
Right.
is the expert name pronunciation. Like I'm down here on like easy. I'm never getting it.
And there's that name.
Okay, there's Brian. I got Brian. Diane, yeah. Jan Loeffler, I got her. And Walter Koenig. She wasn't credited. I mean, maybe she's at the very end of the show.
I don't know if she was listed there or not, but I know she was in the wiki. And it didn't say uncredited, so I'm going to imagine she's in the end credits.
But at least I recognize Harlan. There's another classic sci-fi writer name.
Oh, yes.
I always knew I should have been a doctor. Oh, it's Dolores.
There's Dolores.
Now, what's the name of the cafe behind them?
Earhart's.
Okay. I mean, the one star in the red circle background. I do wonder if they are trying to make a reference to Amelia.
I believe it is.
Which, as someone who enjoys the background details like that, I wonder if this is supposed to be just, maybe JMS had a thing for Amelia Earhart and was doing kind of a tribute, or if that's supposed to have a more deeper meaning, kind of like we're a collection of lost souls here on the outskirts.
Dinner.
And Joel is saying that this is a new bonehead prop for Dolores.
I don't believe so, John. Not this Earhart's.
Human played Dom Jot. Well, for whatever reason, she wants to have wants to have dinner, and he too is somewhat flabbergasted. Like, huh? One day they're shooting at you, and one day they want to take you out to dinner. The next day, and from the beginning, Walter or Bester was able to get some piece of information that there is a. He said there was a growing rebellion, an underground railroad of people smuggling telepaths out of the area.
Yep.
And he was able to glean from that guy as he, and that was a fun thing they did with the hands where he was literally like ripping the memory out from the guy's mind as he died, and he was able to find out that the underground railroad comes or to or from Babylon 5. And so Bester is being frank with everyone. The reason he's here is because of this underground railroad, and according to Earth law, it's illegal. And so he's asking for the support of not Sheldon, Sheridan. Okay, so also I see where they're going with the name Array Through Dark Places right now. Definitely not right. But one thing I'm going to be interested to see if they do with this episode is how much do they parallel the politics going on around the actual Underground Railroad that happened in American history. And one of the, I often mention this. One of the things I really was disappointed with Jodie Whittaker's Doctor Who is that the writers did not give her good material to really work with to let her shine.
Yeah, they really didn't. They really didn't.
And one of the episodes I point out to as really highlighting this is the episode about Rosa Parks.
Rosa. Yep.
And they make the bus driver like this raging racist, like, oh, how dare they let a black person on my bus? I was on vacation. I came back to stop this from happening. But the actual truth of history is it was a much worse form of racism. Like if you have someone who's overtly racist, it's obvious and you can deal with it. But he was someone who was just okay with letting the law stand that supported racism. And I think that's more dangerous because the more people that accept that mindset, the more it allows people to be abused. And so, and Bester's saying drop the walls, or at least he heard it.
Well, he is a P12.
So one of the things about the Underground Railroad and real life history is how many people would have turned in a fleeing slave. And like, well, that's the law. Yes, this is the only option they have, but hey, that's the law. We just got to support the law. So I'm wondering if that's really something they're going to emphasize in this episode of the horrors that occur when people excuse evil because it's the law.
Ooh.
The Underground Railroad wants to kill Bester.
Hmm.
I don't blame them.
Well, he's such a charming guy. Why would they want to do that?
Do I remember this guy, Omni? No, I don't. I don't remember Petrov's friend. Yeah, Joseph. Who doesn't? I answered that. Matthew doesn't. No surprises.
He was the guy on the right on the prior scene. Do you remember who Petrov was?
No.
He's the one that died right before he could say that they were going to assassinate President Clark. I'm sorry,
Oh.
President Santiago. Excuse me.
Okay.
He was trying to tell Garibaldi that. Garibaldi goes on the investigation and finds uh, the guy that we just saw on the right and include Garibaldi in to what they were doing that led Petrov to know about the assassination attempt.
Okay. So Dolores makes a comment that, she's trying to understand Earth culture more, so she wanted to dress up in appropriate attire. And Sheridan, he's somewhat stunned by how well she looks, at least in his estimation. And she makes a comment about how the lady who sold this dress to me said that it would turn heads, to which he agrees. So Garibaldi comes into Earhart's cafe, which there they go. They say the name. Uh, and he's there on official business, and so Ivanova yells out, "Oh, Garibaldi's here on official business!" And so they ring a bell and say, "Well, according to the rules, next round on Garibaldi." And he said, "Well, I was trying to talk to you privately on the QT." He goes, "Oops." And so Garibaldi was just checking to make sure that she wasn't somehow involved with the Underground Railroad. But if she was, he wanted to be the one to confront her first because he would be the far safer option. And she's honest, like, hey, there's obviously no love lost between me and the Psi Corps, but no, I'm not involved. And so, meanwhile, on the date, the entire restaurant has cleared out.
Yes, you notice that. They must talk for a very long time.
Oh yeah, like I get the feeling that if it weren't for the fact that he was the commander of the station, there might be some people shoving them out the door by this point.
Distinct possibility.
So Dolores was commenting that back in Umbari, they the priest caste spends a whole year at the temple doing a course on appreciating humor. And she comments that there's no other race in the galaxy that has something like that. And Sheridan says, "Well, it may surprise you, but on Earth there's the laughing Buddha." And she's a little offended that Besser called her when she was stealing her nightgown, and she pulls up her robe close, but she's the one who answered the phone like that in the first place.
Yes, yes. Kind of odd that she did that. Was she expecting somebody else to call?
Right? I mean, maybe she forgot it was a video system.
Uh,
I'm sure we've all been there. We thought the camera was turned off. Whoops.
whoops.
So she's having a sad monologue of or montage of remembrance in her mind of the last time Bester was here with Ironheart, and he they did something to him, and he became like a super telepath. And at the end, he actually gave Talia. I'm on fire with names tonight, everyone. He gave
Well done.
Talia a gift, and it seems like he upgraded her from whatever level she was at to
P5.
at least a 9. Isn't that the level to required to move objects?
And it's funny, she has a penny. I don't know if it's a P9 or not, but I,
Omni is saying no, telepaths can't move things. See, I thought.
yeah, that's what I thought too, Omni.
Okay, I thought wrong is that complete thought. But the wrong thought I had was I thought there was a certain level you had to be at to be able to move things. And his door is sealed. He comes back from his amazing date and his door is sealed. Um, and so he's like, can't you jimmy this door or something? Sheridan, he's refusing. I refuse to pay rent for the larger apartment or move into a smaller one. Uh, and he's like, can't you scramble this door, jimmy it? And she said, well, I already tried, and all I accomplished was setting off the fire alarms and scaring the neighbors on both sides of the hallways. And so this guy, this Petrov's friend, the guy in the center,
Yes.
he's teaching them to block the scanning by focusing on the Mary Had a Little Lamb poem.
Well, that's what the guy tried to do on Mars.
And it almost worked.
It almost worked.
So now they're sleeping in Sheridan's office. So he's saying a joke. How many Mbari does it take to screw in a light bulb? It's none. They always surrender right before they finish the job. I'm with Ivanova.
Poor Ivanova. Dad jokes.
He says, knock knock, who's there? Kosh. Kashu. Gesundheit. And she says, were you like this when you married? And he goes, yeah. He goes, the woman was a saint. Yes. And there's the almost DS9 mugs.
Yes.
And so Besser is talking with Talia. Just keep an eye on things out here um, about the president's assassination. Of course, it was an accident, but people talk, so just keep it on it. Um, and unfortunately, the people did not do a good enough job shielding their minds, and Bester was able to hear that they were about to shoot him, and flips the table, and you know,
Or did
somewhat
they
over
do it
exaggeratory.
deliberately?
Oh,
I think
or
they
did they
did
do
it
it deliberately? Because they wanted Talia. Okay. And so they're questioning Bester. Why have you heard from Talia? And he goes, "No, I assume she got out." And it never occurred to you that maybe they're gonna try and use her to get you. It's like, no, I'm the target. Which it does seem somewhat out of character. All of one episode that I know him from. But a person like Bester, I feel like he would be mindful of not having contact with Talia. And they do look like Maquis. Someone mentioned that a while back.
Oh, I missed that comment.
I'm kind of surprised they gave the Minnesotan Indian guy credit at this point. He hasn't really done much, but stood in the background. So Talia is saying, "What do you want from me?" And he says, "I just want you to understand." And so somehow Dr. Franklin was their point of contact. Interesting. So they contacted Dr.
Yeah.
Franklin, and oh, and okay, and Sheridan's wondering the same thing. Like, why did they contact you? And Franklin says, I can't tell you right now. You're just gonna have to trust me. And so uh, Franklin, the message is they wanted to meet one on one. Exactly, how many a relocation camp in the DMZ. But see, and I'm trying to get this guy's name right, and I also just want to shorten it, but shortening it becomes ape, and I feel like that's just really disrespectful to call someone an ape. But Ape San Hawak, he was talking about how when his father uh, was identified as a psychic telepath, they gave him the usual option. You can either no, it's three options now. It was join the Psi Corps, something else, or take the sleepers. What was the middle one?
I think it was prison.
Go to prison. Okay.
Ironheart. Yes, Omni.
So the sleepers makes your psychic abilities be suppressed. Which I swear that's supposed to be a reference to the practice that Britain did in the like 50s, 60s, 70s, where anytime a man came out as gay, he was forced to be on chemical castration, basically. And it happened to Alan Turing. quite famously.
Yes.
And so Garibaldi, he did well. He at least appears to be at this point helping Bester. We'll see what happens here in a minute, but I'm going to go with the assumption that he is helping Bester. He's not happy about it, but he is providing the info.
Well, he did say by law they have to.
And so this lady's a P11, and at first she joined, and a couple years in, they found a guy who was a P11, and they said that she'd have to marry him to increase the odds of producing a P12 offspring. And she refused. And now she's she's describing that she was for her she was raped. I know YouTube doesn't like that word, but that's what she was. And once the baby was born, she was taken away. The baby was taken away from her, and she's never seen her baby since. And so this guy is saying, maybe a long time ago the course served something, had a purpose, but now it's turned into something else.
I love how they put him into a season 1 episode. Don't know who he is. He just provides information to Garibaldi. Here he is again.
So she's wondering why he's telling her all this stuff, and he's saying that because I know that you're special. She says, well, how do you know? He goes, because Ironheart was my friend too. And he said that they forced me to become a P12, but Ironheart went way further, and he knows that Ironheart gave her a gift. He says, I know you can help us if you want to.
And the implication that they're giving here is that he came with Ironheart to the station.
Oh.
That was the idea that JMS put out on the news nets and back in the day.
And it's Franklin.
It is.
And Sheridan's saying, hey, I thought the message said came alone. And Franklin is the guy running the operation. Franklin!
Surprise!
You got some splaining to do.
Well, downtown is right next to down below Omni, so, practically the same place.
And it seems like maybe Talia has been persuaded to their cause. She says that Franklin does have a good reason and says that you should maybe listen to him. Yeah, John, you betrayed your uniform.
Can't believe DS9 has stolen so much from Babylon 5, John.
And so Franklin is saying that this all started when he was on Earth. That uh, he saw what was going on and the way they were being treated, and it's non-tenable. This isn't how you treat human beings. He said, there's only so much work we could do. There's only so many ways we could delay things, but we had to get them away, and that's how we got them to Babylon 5.
Matthew, we're getting a little like noise from you.
Are you?
I don't know if you're hitting something. Like you're hitting the microphone or something.
All right. Hopefully that's a little bit better.
Hopefully. For a second, I thought it was in the episode, but
no, it's probably me moving my arms just off screen. Okay. Like y'all can't see it, but I move my arms a lot down here, and I was probably making my desk shake just a little bit.
Okay.
Anyway,
oh.
So Sheridan was saying, as much sympathy as I have for this situation, like, it's the law. You can't just break the law. And Bester, he says, just come back with me. You won't be harmed. But Talia says, well, yeah, of course they will. And so she's claiming that the reason Bester's going to hurt them, he's going to be stealing their lives little by little, and that he wants them to be isolated from not just the world but from each other, and that's why they never let the gloves come off. Oh, Talia with the betrayal. I did not see that entirely coming. So whenever they join up, whenever psychics actually hold hands, they're able to increase their abilities. But Talia, while holding hands, actively interferes with them to keep them weak. And she uses that moment to get Bester to open fire. And Bester says, for a minute you had me tricked. And she says, the core is mother, the core is father.
Yes, it is.
Now surely it's going to turn out that these people aren't dead. This has got to be some sort of con. I don't think Talia is going to be that way. That this was the final way to get them off the record. There we are.
Josh, she did see it coming.
So yeah, by combining their powers combined, they were able to create a telepathic projection in his mind. So so Sheridan is recognizing that all he has to do is not say anything. That if he says something, then all this will fall apart. The jig will be up. But at the same time, he can't even see Bester, because if he's near and Bester reads his mind, he's going to be able to, read the recent memories and figure out that this was a sham. Exactly, Trek Reviewer. Summon Captain Planet. So, uh, Sheridan, he says, if you ever do something like this again, I'm going to hang you up to dry. and and Franklin says, oh, so you don't think what I did was right? And Sheridan says, I didn't say that. I didn't say anything. I didn't say what I'm thinking. I'm saying nothing.
I'm not thinking what I'm thinking was the last line of that dialogue.
And so the psychic guy here, he he's saying you can't go back. If Bester scans you, there's no way you could resist him. Because can you keep him out? And she says, I think so. And apparently this is one last gift that
Ironheart
gave him.
Jason.
She says, well, what am I? And he says, the future. And he steps back in the shadows, which, I mean, there's a wall there. It's not like it was dramatic, but hey, Tokyo, how you doing?
Welcome, Tokyo.
So Ivanova is saying, okay, I got a couple of things we got to talk about. Item one, Earth is never going to back down. When it comes to money, they never back down. He said, item two, you snore. He goes, no, I don't. And so Sheridan says this isn't going to be an issue anymore. You you can go back to your quarters. I'm sure security has relented. And she goes, what, how they back down? He goes, no, not exactly. He said, what I did is I deducted 60 credits a week from the defense budget and applied them to our living quarters. And she's like, on what grounds? He goes, well, on the grounds that I'm not going to be able to fight unless I've had a decent night's sleep.
Yes, I agree, Joel. Sheridan channeled Sinclair.
And so Bester was commenting that he is disappointed in Sheridan. He thought that Sheridan would have more support for the Corps. And he asks if Talia will be able to keep an eye on it, or if there'll be any problems. She goes, no, of course, no problems. And you can see he's uncomfortable at this moment, that he can't read her, and he doesn't want to admit that he can't read her. But they know. He knows that she knows, he knows, everyone knows. Natalia has, or Miss Winters, as Ivanova coldly calls her, says it's late. And she goes, I know it's late. I just needed to tell you that you were right and I was wrong about the Corps. And then she takes her gloves off.
Yes, that's very interesting.
Kind of a, I think post the psychic link, the great circle that she is trying to unlearn some of the core tenets of the core, that she doesn't need to be isolated. Yeah, if the glove don't fit.
Wow, that flew by.
It really did. All right, so Jeff, thoughts about the episode?
Well, I think it's interesting. We didn't get very much of Talia in the first 5 or 6 episodes. Now we got 3 in a row with her in it.
Indeed.
Yes. Of course, Walter Koenig as Bester always delights. He was great in this. You can see his callous regard for life. He just will kill anyone if he finds the need to do that. Doesn't seem to care. He's just a classic villain, and he's so good at it. You just got to love his character, even if you don't care for what he does. And you can see how he is being antagonistic with Mr. Garibaldi.
Yeah. Hey, Thomas, how's the football game?
Hey, Thomas, welcome. And he says start over.
And Joel, more than just not caring about the mundanes, I would actually argue that he doesn't care about telepaths. That
Yeah,
he
he
cares
killed
about like the movement of telepaths, but he doesn't care about telepaths on an individual level.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
In this episode, they really did a good job of showing you that the core wasn't just a morally gray entity. Like up to now, it's kind of been like, hey, we got some moral grayness. They have this harsh thing where you either join it or you get mental suppressants, and that has some side effects, and you can argue about the validity of needing to do that. So it's kind of this gray ground. But now they've really upped the game. Like, no, they're a straight up evil organization. They will force you into relations to produce children on the offset chance that you might produce a stronger psychic. And having produced that child, they'll kidnap the child from you.
I think Bester is interested in his own goals, and he doesn't care who he kills in order to get them, even if it's telepaths.
Hmm.
And what are his goals?
World
We haven't seen,
domination?
or maybe galactic domination.
Yeah, I might be thinking small.
Well, he was very interested in what the crew was thinking about the assassination, or we think it's an assassination, the death of the president.
Oh, he assured us it was an accident. So there no assassination things happened there. Any news that you hear otherwise is fake news.
Yes, he is definitely a narcissist, Maleficus. Melphis, sorry. I want to know where these telepaths were going. At this underground railroad coming through Babylon 5, where are they ending up after they leave?
Yeah, because they mentioned it. Babylon 5 was the exit point, but not the destination itself.
Right. And I wonder if Mr. Bester will take a look at his PPG weapon to see if it was
Ooh,
fired, if he actually
excellent
fired it.
point. Thomas is saying I should get a Babylon 5 shirt. But see, I like doing my Star Trek shirt with my Sequest background for Babylon 5 stream. It feels so Matthew appropriate.
It does. But this was a good episode. We get more characterization of Mr. Bester, and he's just shaping up to be an excellent character for the series. And it's good to see him again, despite his evil intentions. He's just a very good villain.
Oh yeah, I very much enjoy seeing him and this plot line develop.
But
And
what exactly?
I mirror the screen so that my left hand is on my left. Because if I don't mirror the screen, it really throws off my dyslexia. So the comm badge is in the right place. I just mirror it. It's Mirror Matthew, exactly.
And in StreamYard, it actually is on the right side for me, the correct side.
That's right.
But it's mirrored. But yeah,
and
on YouTube, it's mirrored.
I pointed over here because I was looking at my StreamYard stream. And so I was pointing to where it was in my vision. So that's what I'm talking about. Like I cannot handle, I can't handle it. I gotta have it mirrored. I don't have to. Right. Okay, so you're
that's
right,
just
Thomas.
Another Matthewism.
I don't have to watch myself, but I actually feel rude if I'm not looking at Jeff when he's talking. So like, I have him up on this monitor to my right, and I have an OBS, and so that's why you'll notice like whenever I'm on the stream, I'll usually be looking right or left, and it's because I feel rude by not looking at Jeff, even though there's hundreds of miles separating us.
That's true. To be very honest with you, while we watch the episode, I have it covering us. So I'm still looking at the camera. I just can't see you. I can hear you. And I can also see the episode. So it works for me.
So for the episode,
yes,
I would have loved to see more discussion about the morality of the Underground Railroad. And this is interesting because I feel like an episode done today would have focused on that to the detriment of the episode.
Most likely.
There would have been no good guy, so to speak. Like everyone would have been evil, everyone would have been against it, instead of looking at the broad spectrum of people who maybe think the practices are evil, but hey, it's the law. The people who don't care one way or the other, it doesn't affect them. The people who support it, the people who have dedicated their lives to destroying it. Like you could have done a really interesting thing where it was a springboard to say, hey, you know, this was a dark time in human history. And I personally would have enjoyed maybe a reference to that even. Like, especially with Garibaldi, when he was talking about how much he doesn't like this, he's against it. And Sheridan could have made the comment like, you know, I'm with you, but it's a law. And Garibaldi could have said, you know what? It was a law at one point that if you helped a black person escape slavery, you would be like, that would be legal. And it wasn't right then either. Just because something is the law doesn't make it right. And that alone would have really framed the context of what's going on. I feel like that extra level.
Hey, Patrick, it's good to see you.
Hey, Patrick.
It's got to be like 6 a.m. for him.
And on me, whatever it is, I'm against it. I love that Groucho Marx clip. In fact, whenever I go to vote and they have all the propositions list, I literally sing that song as I'm going through the propositions that are on my ballot. Whatever it is, I'm against it. On the very principle of the matter, I'm against it.
Now, I don't know if you caught or not. Dr. Franklin actually set this up sometime in season 1 for the Underground Railroad. He set up the clinic, and down below is a way of setting up the Underground Railroad coming through Babylon 5.
Interesting.
Remember the clinic he had set up in Quality of Mercy from season 1?
Do you think that was a retcon, or do you think that was them
No,
legitimately thinking?
I think that was intentional. I think that was set up from the get-go.
Hmm.
Just as they had the rogue down and down below that gave the information to Garibaldi in season 1 about uh, leading Garibaldi to finding the information about the president.
Hmm. Okay.
I think that was set up already, that he was going to be a telepath that they're going to bring back in season 2. So
Oh,
you're starting to see
Petrov's
these
friend. Yeah.
connections. Yeah, Petrovsen. Yes.
Imagine if you skip season one. Like you miss all this.
Well, I think the people that say that for a rewatch. You don't have to watch season 1. You already know the setup.
I look forward to rewatching season one after everything.
Yes. Yes. Because you'll go back and you'll watch season 1. You'll see, oh yeah, okay, I missed that bit where they set
Yeah.
that up for season 2 or season 3. So it
Yeah,
seems
sure.
like
I wouldn't
Talia,
skip season one either. I feel like there's setup, and I feel like I'll actually have a greater appreciation
exactly.
now that I'm further in the series.
Yeah, when it was first running on the air, I missed a lot of season 1. I may have seen like 4 or 5 episodes. I missed the rest of it. And when I went back and I saw the first season in its entirety, I was like, wow, I wish I had seen that from the start, because it was setting up so much and it was so good. It was so tied together.
So all in all, I
It
like
was a
this
good
episode.
episode.
Yeah,
So it seems like Talia has now some doubts about the core.
she does. Now she's admitted that she can't leave it. It's she's too wrapped up in it, but she's at
Yeah.
least seeing it for what it is, and that's progress.
And I agree with something that John said earlier. It seems like Dr. Franklin got off a little too easy there. He seems to have a way of doing that, if you recall from season 1, when saved the
Hmm.
little alien boy.
Hmm. Yes, that episode. Yeah. Things
So
to
he has
think
a track
about.
record doing that. Yes.
We
And
have
who would have
seen one other
guessed?
person who seemed to get off a little bit easy when he upset people just last week. Talia's ex.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, he had special abilities. But
He
what is
did.
Talia? What is Talia now? She was a P5 when the series started. Ironheart gave her at least 2 gifts: telekinesis and the ability to block P12s.
Right.
So what is she?
She's the future, apparently.
Well, it would
Whatever
seem
that
so.
is.
At least P5 plus, says Omni.
Yeah, like a. So, from what I'm understanding, she's not on. Like, her abilities are separate from the P5 or the psychic rating system. So it's
Joe
not.
Miller says she's a PlayStation 6.
So it's not like she's been upgraded P6, P7, P8, P9, or whatever. It seems like she's still at that P5 level, but in addition to that, she now has a new. She multi-classed. She's no longer just a cleric. She now has some rogue classes or something. Kind of that kind of mentality.
It would seem so. But no, I
Excuse
enjoyed
me.
this episode.
I did too. I think it's interesting that what they're doing with Dolores, and
Oh, we didn't even talk about
we
Dolores.
didn't. I do like that she is trying to become more and more aware of Earth culture. So she's definitely putting her full heart and soul into bridging these two species. So it's not just a, hey, I did this, you know, this gesture where I, changed my entire DNA. Simple gesture, nothing too big. But she did this one thing and she's stopping. No, she's really trying to create a synthesis of the two cultures. Uh, and so I do wonder how far she's going to go with these efforts. Uh, is she going to try to form relationships just because she wants to be bridging the cultures, or if she does form a relationship at some point, is it going to be because she actually has feelings for a person?
Well, that's a good question.
Hey, Ervik, how you doing, man?
Welcome, Eric. And it's interesting that Talia went to Ivanova at the end of the episode to talk about what had happened.
Yeah, I mean, she's one of the few people she can trust. She knows Ivanova has zero love for the Psychor, and that's what she wants
Obviously,
right
with
now.
what happened with her mother, yes.
She wants. She knows that the captain has, you know, he allowed this to slide, but he wasn't exactly on board with it. He recognizes the evil of it, but he's definitely someone who is like, well, the law is the law.
Yeah.
Garibaldi, he is more vocal against being against it, but at the end of the day, even he submitted to the law. He was
He
mad
did.
about it, but he submitted to the law. Talia was one of the few people. She didn't directly come into this, but Talia is like one of the few people who's like, no, I don't care what the law is. I hate the Psy-Corps to the end of my days.
Well, she's not in the military either.
Uh, Talia?
Oh, yeah.
Josh is saying, but why did they do a close up of the Psy-Corps
See you
badge
later.
before fading to black?
See you later, Tokyo.
So I did wonder about that. It could, like, I could see two different meanings for it. One, it is a cinematic choice to linger on this shot of how Talia is now distancing herself from the Psy-Corps. That the Psy-Corps is in the foreground. It's the focus. You got Talia and you got Ivanova in the background out of focus. And so it creates this picture with it being up front. They're smaller. It is dominating most of the frame. It's center and it's in focus. And so you create this image of how the Psy-Corps, even though it's not present, is still overwhelmingly domineering these two women still. Ivanova because of what happened with her mom, and Talia because of what's happening right now. So it creates this oppressive atmosphere, how they're still trapped under it, even when they're trying to distance themselves from it. The second thing I was wondering is if it wasn't just a cinematic choice, if there was something about the badge itself that's significant. If it's more than just a simple badge, if there's some sort of active component to it that works to monitor or suppress psychic somehow. And that could be why you linger on it, because hey, this badge is actually something sinister. It's not just a symbol of an evil organization. There's actually something about it that you should be aware of, like it's monitoring you. I don't know. Uh, I kind of get the feeling it's more cinematic, creating that picture, but I certainly wouldn't put it past them to be like, hey, remember how you did this thing? We know you did it. We heard your conversation.
To watch for that.
Yeah. I think that's all the highlights of the episode. Oh, and you had the C plot with the Earth government and the rooms, which
I think that was
worked.
for, comic comic relief. And it builds a little of characterization between Ivanova and Sheridan.
Yeah. They're friends. Sheridan snores. That's right on me. It also shows that
Sheridan tells dad jokes.
He does. It also shows that Ivanova is willing to support him even when she thinks he's being a bit dumb.
Josh Street, no, we cannot spoil it for Matthew. Even though I'd want to, we can't do that.
I like how Kosh was the focus of the knock knock joke, though.
Gesundheit.
All right, let's go ahead and call it there for the night, guys.
Okay.
Do
you have a prediction for the next episode?
Yeah, the Coming of Shadows. Okay, come on. This has to be a layup one for me, right? The Coming of Shadows. It's got to be. I'm thinking a Jakar focused episode. Maybe we'll see Discount Rod Sterling, but I think it is going to be more of the focus of how. I don't think we're going to see the Shadow Spiders yet. At least not performing anything major. But I do think we're going to see. We're kind of around the mid. This might be a mid-season. No. We're not. 22 episodes. We're close to the mid. This might be a bit of a mid-season high point. But I think it's going to be more about those who are supporting the Shadows. That they're going to be coming and causing issues on the station. The same way we had that. Was it the Long Dark episode? You had the demon creature.
Right, that was on that ship.
So I think we're going to get more of that kind of thing, where the people, the darkness that's serving the shadow spiders are coming in from around the universe, and kind of Babylon 5 is acting as a funnel point as they move from one side to the other to gather their forces. I could see it being kind of like Jakar can see it coming, and he's trying to warn people. But that's kind of what they did at the end of the. I'm just gonna stick to what I've said so far. I don't need to get that detailed.
Okay. I'm just typing this up. So
the minions are the shadow people, Omni.
Minions. I like that.
Yeah, the next one is about nothing. The fact that it's the title of the season, just a coincidence. Just a coincidence. I mean, it certainly is kind of the focus that we've seen so far, starting from the very first episode of this season, Points of Departure, that this is an episode about the growing darkness, and also about how Londo is choosing to side with them at this point in time, and about how many people are turning a blind eye to it, to the warning calls, and the danger that is creating. Because Jakar, he's gone out of his way trying to prevent this, and he's pointing to religious texts and saying, look, here's how things are going, and we know this area is dangerous, and we're losing our ships out there, and we can't just chalk this up to coincidence. And yet so many people are turning a blind eye in his own government and the races around him. And there's going to be issues. There's going to be consequences about that.
John says, Matthew's prediction is a 100% prediction.
A prediction. Yeah, what's with me and Minions tonight? Well, it was your stadium picture. All those yellow seats. I thought they were full of Minions. I mean, it
seemed like it to me.
Who is it? I think it's the Mets. Don't hold me to this, but I think the Mets. They had Grimace filling their stadium. Like they were on a horrible losing streak. Someone who knows baseball better correct me on this, but this season, horrible losing streak. And then as a joke, they had Grimace come out and throw a pitch. And ever since then, they have been on fire, to the point that they actually painted one of their seats in the stadium purple and labeled it Grimace. Like it's a reserved seat for Grimace now. And the fans are coming dressed as Grimace to the stadium. So I don't know. Maybe the Steelers have a thing for Minions. And yeah, Omni is saying it was the New York Mets. They had Grimace. And he's a VIP at
Well,
Citi Field now. Yeah.
Omni would know. If anybody would know, it's Omni.
So everyone, thank you so much for hanging out with us this week. I am glad we were able to do it. And next week, I should be here. We should be doing this.
We'll hold you to it.
Yeah, please do. Please do. I got called out at a big way. The kid whose birthday it was, I mean, they called me out like, hey, you canceled on everyone. I'm like, it's true. And I did it without any hesitation. No shame whatsoever. I'm not a person for shame. But that said, I shouldn't have to do it anymore. I think I know enough about the program. I think that we're starting to get into a good enough relationship with the end client where it shouldn't be quite so hectic as it was my first time out. Like it was a crazy thing. It was like, hey, we're going, and so I'm trying to figure out, are we paying for the ticket and they're reimbursing us? Am I having to go through them to get it? What all the coronation stuff was, what my role in this was. So it was overwhelming. But we got it worked out. So I should know well in advance if we're gonna have to miss a week. Or at least I should know such that I'm not posting that we're going to do it and then cancel it at 6 p.m. Shouldn't have to do that again.
Fingers crossed.
So we will hopefully see you at the Hour of Scampering next week. Everyone, take care.
Have a good night. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please be sure to hit that like button and share it with your friends. If you haven't subscribed yet, I hope you will. And be sure to hit that bell icon to be notified of all the updates I do on this channel. If you want to support the work I'm doing here, then I hope you'll consider becoming one of my Patreons, where you'll get early access to all kinds of videos. And until the next time, may the Lord bless you and keep you. May he cause his face to shine upon you and be gracious to you. May the Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. Amen.